We're live now. Hi, it's Kia. Welcome to Hot Topics Live, the show, the podcast. And today I have an amazing show with you. We're going to talk about holistic healing with my guest, Valeria Urban. And next to me, I have a very, very beautiful, talented co host. She is the creator and host of Women with Stories. She is also one of the talented co hosts of Podcasters Unleashed, which, if you haven't seen the episode, we did a whole special interview with Podcasters Unleashed. And we talked about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity as a panel. And you can find that all the way back, if you scroll back not too far, on our Facebook page, Hot Topics Live. And you can see that episode. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you should be able to find it there too on our new YouTube channel. So, Kaola, how are you, sweetie?
I'm doing great. And like it's been a long time. I'm like, I want to be on Hot Topics with Kia to discuss a new topic. And I'm really loving it being with you and knowing you since it's been like 2 years now. I have
Mm-hmm.
worked with you. You have coached me, and it was really great insights from you.
Oh, thank you, honey. Well, I am so happy to have you here. By the way, hi, George. Thanks for tuning in, sweetie. I appreciate you as always. So I actually really loved getting to know you when you went through the broadcasting course. And since we've stayed in touch, you coached with me at London Real for a while. And we have just sort of always stayed connected, which is a true gift. And one of my favorite things about being with London Real, the time that I have spent there with them. So tell me, Kaula, you live in France, right? Where are you now?
I'm in Paris right now. The situation is not like the Parisian lifestyle people expecting because with COVID pandemics, laws are changing and the lifestyle situation is changing in Paris. So a lot of restrictions, but I will try to be optimistic and see what's happening.
I think we all have to just try to be optimistic with what's going on right here in the States where I am. It is because she's in Paris, I'm in the States. It's a global show. So it's a little bit crazy because they are the new Delta variant. So
Mm.
it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Like, I am vaccinated and I am still wearing my mask out because I'm a little bit nervous because I have a compromised immune system
Yes.
already. But I worry about people. Like, I'm so
Mm.
worried about everybody. And that's like the biggest thing for me. And I'm also worried about climate change. Like, I'm just worried about a lot of stuff right now. So I'm trying to like minimize the
Yeah.
amount I watch the news and I'm on social
Mm.
media so that I don't get anxiety from this because it's dragging on, right?
Mm.
Like, when is this gonna end? So I'm over
So
it.
we are glad we have a special guest today to talk about holistic healing and how to
Yes.
reduce anxiety.
Yes, it's important because during these times where
Mm,
everything's uncertain and there's a lot to really worry about,
mm,
whatever your beliefs are, being holistic and holistic healing is always amazing. And so to have such an amazing guest with us today, I'm really excited for that. Her name is Valeria Urban. I, of course, got to connect with her through London Real. She was going through one of the digital business courses and she happened to work with me. And I was so just blown away by, we do webinars at that course. And she had a webinar. And when I went to her webinar, because I go to all my students' webinars, it was so amazing. It felt like a bit transformational, just even in that hour time period. And
mm,
it was an intimate setting.
mm.
So it was really powerful and everybody was really vulnerable and really open and it felt healing. And it was in such a short period of time that I was so impacted by it that I'm like, I have to share this with people. right. I have to share this. So I've wanted her to come on Hot Topics for a while, and she's very busy. She has been a practitioner for over 17 years. And we're going to talk about not only holistic healing, but specifically, she's a journey practitioner. And I'm not sure what that is. So we're going to find out when she comes. We're going to find out all about it. But she's a holistic counselor. So she does counsel people. It does feel a lot like counseling, and the webinar did, but it was like really amazing, really great energy, and really healing in such a short period of time. She's also really an expert in raw eating and veganism, and she's in the culinary arts of that, so she helps people with that as well. And if we have time, we will talk about that a little bit also. And I'm really excited to bring her on. She's launching her new website and everything like that. So what do you think, Kaola? Should we bring her?
I'm excited too because the topic is new for me. And a lot of people don't know about the holistic healing, and I really want to learn from her more because I have a basic knowledge about it, and it's very interesting to know her side of story and what she's doing with holistic healing. So that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. Let's bring her on and ask her lots of questions.
Hey girls, hi.
Hi, Valley. It's so good to see you. So,
Spread the love.
With
tell
love,
me,
yeah,
lots of love, always, always.
yeah, yeah.
Tell me, where are you and what time is it now?
So I'm in the Budapest, Hungary, Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and the time is 9:45 p.m. You know, we had a little late
You got
because of
started a little late.
delay,
Mhm.
because of the tech things,
Yeah.
but. Yeah, so it's 9:45, and Budapest is a wonderful city. I don't know whether you have been here yourself or not, any
Not
of
yet.
you?
No, not yet. But we
Not
have
yet.
the same time zone in Paris too.
All right. All right. Yeah, that's correct, because we are both in Europe, within Europe. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's 12:45, 12:46 where I am on the beautiful west coast of the
Right.
United States. And as you can see, Hot Topics Live is a global show.
Yeah.
So I am excited to check out Budapest when I can travel. I feel caged in. So when I can get back to Europe, it's on my list for sure.
It's not the perfect time, but you should come.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in terms of the pandemic, yeah, similar to as in France. You know, we have quite a lot. I mean, there is a confusion a little bit. You know, there are some people who don't know which source of information to trust, and myself, I'm going more like with the alternative sources, rather than, I don't even have a television, to be honest, so I don't know the official version, but what I can tell you is that now we can go outside. We don't need to have a mask on us when we go outside, and we don't have any lockdown at the moment. What we have at the moment is that the healthcare professionals are requested to be vaccinated. So it's a must for them. So that's where we are at the moment. But as you said, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen next. So we are living in these times of confusion and uncertainty. So more than ever, I think important to know what to do with our uncomfortable emotions. So that's what I would like to help people with, you know, how to embrace your uncomfortable emotions, be it an anger or frustration or any other sadness, grief, anxiety, depression, overwhelm, lack of focus. These are the most prominent, you know, this is what I meet most of the time with my clients. They have these difficulties at these uncertain times. So,
Hey, Mouse. My best friend just tuned in. So, Valley, I am so excited for you to share more, because what you were just saying is so on point. And I think my first question for you, though, has got to be, what is a journey practitioner?
Right. That is a good question, because journey might be a travel as well, no,
Mm-hmm.
for someone who doesn't know what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
journey is an inward, it's an inner journey. We are going inside of us and looking at the root cause of our problems. And the journey practitioner is like myself, who was accredited by Brandon Bayes, who is I would say, the founder of this healing method. It's a cutting edge healing process. It's a complementary healing, because it doesn't replace your doctor, or that the orthodox medicine advice. It's just a complementary method to that, but it's very useful, because we are not just physical beings, as you probably all know, and your listeners too, but we are spiritual beings in a physical, having a physical experience in a physical body. So we have to heal all of those levels, all of those bodies. We have emotional body and energetic bodies, and not just physical bodies. So when somebody comes for a journey process or a journey session, that means that they are responsible, they feel responsible for their own position in terms of health or ill health, right? And they wanna help themselves with the help of a professional who will guide them through an inner introspection. It's a guided introspection. It takes several hours, probably between 2 and 3 hours at least. So it's not a quick process, but it is unique. So if you would ask me what is the difference between this healing work or between another one, I would say there are a few unique aspects to it. One of them being is that I will guide through my patient. I will guide them through an introspection where they will meet all of the layers of their emotions, which usually are suppressed in their body. They are all very important, each of them, but usually deep down in our body, because we were basically conditioned not to be honest with our emotions, not to express them, partly because they might cause a problem. You might hurt someone. So from childhood, we were basically told not to cry. It's no time for that. Just pretend that everything is okay. So therefore we have lots of suppressed emotions, and what they do in the body, they release a chemical cocktail through the bloodstream. And this special chemical reaction, because every emotion has its own chemical reaction in the body, so through the bloodstream they go to certain cell receptors and they will block them. And where these blocked cell receptors are, when illness happens, it is where these blocked cell receptors are found in the body. So because they make the rest of the cells unable to communicate with each other healthily. And conversely, it is also true that when we allow these emotions to come up to the surface and feel them, like children do, very naturally, very spontaneously, they don't hold back anything, then this chemical reaction does not happen. Then everything still remains open, the cell receptors remain open, and there's a healthy cellular communication going on. So that's really a big difference. So that's why it is so important to not repress them, but to embrace them, to feel them, to let them come to the surface and approach them in our own way. And there are two very different approaches. One of them, both are good, by the way, but I will tell you, one of them is when you kind of distance yourself from the emotion by noticing it, by naming it, giving it a name, and then maybe even ask yourself, what am I feeling now? What's here right now? And then feel the emotion and name it and ask questions. And sometimes this already is enough to deal with the emotion. And the other approach is the so-called Tantric approach. This was the former one was the Vedantic approach, and the Tantric approach is that you don't distance yourself from the emotion, but you totally merge yourself with the emotions. To let it be you, let it merge with you, become one with it. And if you do that, you probably notice that there is no questions or naming, or because you are annihilated, you let it annihilate you, be it a fear or an anger or some strong emotion that we usually repress. Now you allow it to come and you burn in the fire of the fear. So you literally maybe even shaking, but you don't stop allowing it. And if you do that, then you will experience at the end that if you don't speak about it, if you don't try to avoid it or repress it, or you don't practice any avoidance strategies with it, then it just comes and goes. So this is how you, get over it. All right, you don't touch it.
Unmute yourself, Kia.
Yeah, Kia, we can't hear you.
Hold on. Sorry, my kid was running back and forth, and I want you to hear that. So I muted myself. But anyway, mom life. So I have questions. I had to stop you there before we go too far.
Sure,
and also,
sure.
Carla had a question who is watching on YouTube. Thanks for subscribing, Carla. I appreciate you. And she says those emotional layers can really shock you when you start uncovering them.
Hi, Carla.
What cautions should people be aware of before doing this kind of work? So let's answer that one first.
Yeah. So what cautions should people be aware of before doing this kind of work? Well,
that's a great question.
It's good to know that these emotions are always surprising. You cannot prepare for them. So in the session, you never really know what comes up, But whatever comes up means that it is safe for you to meet it, because otherwise it wouldn't come up, So it is safe to deal with it. You won't die into it. When I say you let it annihilate you, then I don't mean it literally. You will still be alive after encountering that emotion, obviously. But that's the way to not cause that chemical reaction into your body, to then not block those cell receptors, which then might cause an illness later on. So it's very important. Yeah.
That was my question, because you said that when we have these emotions that come up, each of these emotions, they give you a chemical reaction in your body, right? And so what I was going to ask is, if we don't allow ourselves to feel these feelings and express these emotions in either of the ways that you were describing, could we get physically ill? And could you explain a little bit more about that?
Definitely we could, because the science has noticed that when we repress these emotions and don't let them just, be here and meet them, then this certain biochemical reaction blocks these cell receptors. And in that act of repressing them, these chemical reaction happens and block these cell receptors, meaning that they won't be able to communicate with the other cells in the body. And that's where illness happens. Dr. Deepak Chopra, who probably everybody knows that he's a very famous spiritual teacher today, but he used to be a surgeon, the chief surgeon, working in a hospital for many years. And what he was looking at, he was looking at a long list of patients who healed miraculously. It's called spontaneous healing or spontaneous remission. And he was not looking at the cause of the death, which usually the allopathic medical researchers looking at, what caused this illness and what happened, when basically they are looking in the direction of death. But he was looking, what is the common denominator in terms of these patients who healed miraculously? So what is, and he found two very common factors. And one of them was that they were they were able to access that part of us which makes our hair grow, which makes our eyes shine, that awareness. They by somehow by act of grace or by spontaneous just healing, they were able to access that. And not just they were able to access that, but that was the second common factor, but they were also able to not just get access to the cell memory, but then release it, let it go, and they got healed. But these all happened by an act of grace to these people. So they were not consciously going to that, tapping into that awareness. And that's what we do in this session, for example, in this healing work, that we consciously go to that place in our body, because everything is awareness in the body, around the body as well, but in the body, everything is awareness, the cells, the space in between the cells, everything. So they were able to tap into that awareness and then release what was in the cells, stored in the cells. And let me speak about that as well. So the cell memories, what is that and how does that work? And then when they tapped into it, they were releasing the memory that was stored there, and then forgave, and then healing happened. So that was the two common denominator in terms of the miraculous healing. So we can learn a lot from that. And Brandon Bayes, who wrote this book back then, The Journey. Can you see that? Yeah. You
there
can find it. You can find it anywhere in America or around the world. That's just more details about this healing work. And so that the cell memory means that whatever happened to us in our lives, everything is stored in our body. Everything. So when something bad happened, that's also obviously there. And because whatever good happened to us, and by the way, embracing our good emotions is not a problem ever. Mm-hmm. But but when some trauma happens, it's also stored in the cells. That's what's called cell memory. And what does it have to do with healing? Well, that whatever is stored in there, if you can have access to it, and that's what Brandon realized, that you can know all about the science, but if there's no method, step-by-step method, how can you access that awareness, that cell memory, so that you can then release it and let it go, and then you can go by heal, right? And so there's another piece of science that says that every of our organs, or each of our organs, regenerate itself within various speed, right? So for example, the eyes regenerate itself within 24, 48 hours. That's the quickest. So within less than 2 days, you have a completely new inner eyeball, which is amazing. Or or the skin, the skin, when you go have a suntan, and after 3 weeks that suntan just slough off, and then that means that the old cells are gone. So the skin cells regenerate themselves within 3 weeks, or the liver, it's 6 weeks, or the stomach, it's 3 days. Within 3 days, you have a completely new stomach lining. So then the scientists then asked, and this was Deepak Chopra wrote this book, The Quantum Healing, at the end of the 80s. So I'm talking about many years ago, more than 30 years ago. It was a cutting edge science back then. So then they asked, okay, so that's how all our cells are regenerating. So within 1 year, you don't have any more cells which you had today, So after 1 year, everything regenerated itself. But then how come that if you had, let's say, a liver cancer in the beginning of this year, you will still find it now after several months? How come when the liver regenerates its cells within 6 weeks, right? So that was a very logical question to ask. And what they found that before the old degenerative cell dies, it passes on its memory, the old consciousness, which is stored in there, it passes on to the new cell generation. So in other words, the new cells will be an exact replica of the old one, right? So this is how the old cell passes on its memory to the new cell generation, and that's why after many months that cancer is still there. So what is the way then to remove that, right? To work with that cell memory? Well, if you don't want to wait until something spontaneous happens, an act of grace happens or something like that, like happened to that many patients who healed miraculously, then you need a method that is a step-by-step method that will then guide you through this process, and you can consciously reach into that place in you where you can tap into that consciousness. You get access to that old memory, that degenerative cell memory. And if you release it, let it go and forgive, then the new cell generation will not inherit that old memory, that old consciousness.
Oh, wow. What do you think about that, Kaola?
Actually, it's it's a life changing for me, because when Valeria was talking about this, I remembered my mom. She was someone who was very stressful about things, and that led her to the fibroid uterus cancer. And we went to the doctor. We had some checkups, and he said to her, "Well, it's not a serious condition, but I want to know what you are going through emotionally." And I was like, why are you speaking about emotionally? She's going through tough times with her physical condition. And now when Valeria talking about this, now I came to my mind, I now understand what the doctor was saying to my mom.
And it's very rare that a doctor,
Yeah.
like an orthodox allopathic doctor would ask that question. It's very, very positive, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree. That's incredible. So, and another thing that I was thinking about that you were saying is the impact of forgiveness in this whole equation of emotions and healing and cell regeneration. One would not immediately think that forgiveness was that powerful for your own well-being, but it is, apparently.
It is, yes. Why? Because what is forgiveness? First, forgiveness is letting go of the burden of judgment. So this is actually a gift that we are giving to ourselves. It's not about them, the perpetrator, right? And why should we do that? Because actually it's healing. It's a medicine. Because of the same principles I just mentioned so far. If you repress something, if you repress some toxic emotions, that will cause this chemical reaction. Inflammation happens. And when inflammation happens in the body, that will suppress the immune system. And then, all those bad, your blood pressure rise, and then you might even end up, being having a stroke or something. So suppressing emotions, toxic emotions like hostility, anger, resentment, hate, all those toxic emotions which are related to not being able to forgive, or just holding on to our resentment. Again, this is what it causes in our physical body.
Wow.
So why would we then not allow ourselves to let that go? It doesn't mean we have to be friends if I don't want to. No, but I want to give that gift to myself, to let that go, because when we allow ourselves to understand what really happened there, first of all, you have to understand what happened, and also understand it from the point of view of the other person as well, if it's possible. And the healing work I'm doing with people makes that absolutely possible. This is how it's planned, this is how it is planned, or this is how it is guided, that we also step into the body of the perpetrator. So we see it from his or her perspective, what really happened. And then, but we do it, you see, it's an important step. So we do that only after I guided through that client, through those emotional layers, until there was no more layers of emotions, but just this infinite stillness and peace and calmness. And so that's what is your true nature. So only after you experience what is your true nature will you be able to not look at that, what happened to you, only from the ego's perspective, but also from both perspectives, look at it, and then understand and have this insight that this other person also a spiritual being in a physical body. So the forgiveness actually is not just a mere acceptance, not just a lip service, but a soul to soul, a heart to heart experience. So sometimes my clients say, in the process of this forgiveness, well, okay, I can forgive maybe 70%, but no more. And then I'm asking, okay, so what is the story that is still going on in your head that doesn't allow you to fully, completely, from the bottom of your heart, forgive to that person? And because there might be even still some story that we are telling to ourselves about the whole thing, and we believe in that story. Because you can, the mind can give you thousands of reasons why you are right and why they are wrong, right? And if we only in our head and only identify ourselves with those thoughts, that's not what we are. So we have to go deeper. Then I guide you deeper. Go deeper than your head and those thoughts about that story about what happened. Go deeper, and from your heart, from heart to heart, can you fully forgive? And then they understand what's the difference between the two. So it's first of all, it's not from the level of the ego. The ego cannot forgive. It's impossible. It will always find some reasons why not to. And second, you are not in your heart. You are still identifying with your ego. That's why you have so many reasons why not. So go deeper, much deeper, and look at it from that level. And then you will notice that there might even nothing to forgive, because at that level, nothing happened. Nothing really happened at that level. Because if people were not confused, if they were not identified with their stories of, what happened and how and da da da, then they would not hurt each other.
Wow.
You remember that story when the Pope, not this Pope, but the one we loved so much, the one from Poland, Paul, Saint Paul II, or what was his name? You know, when he was attacked. You know, he was
Oh yeah.
she was
That's John
shot
Paul.
by a guy, Sir John
Yeah.
Paul. Yeah,
Mhm.
the second. Yeah, and a Turkish man shooted on him, but he survived, fortunately. But then he went to the prison because the attacker, was put in jail, and he visited him in the jail, and he forgave him. I mean, who can do that? I mean, he was almost assassinated, and yet he went to the jail himself and forgave. So how can you do that? Well, you can only do that if you know who you really are, if you are not misidentified with this thing called ego and your story. So Byron Katie, who is one of my mentors, she asked this very powerful question: who are you without your story? Who are you?
It's a good question. Deep. What do you think, Kaola?
I think it's we need to have a whole session about this kind of questions.
Yeah, it's really deep
Yeah.
because we are telling ourselves a narrative, and there's also a narrative that, you know, we've been pre-programmed with when we were young, that's spinning in the back of our head, running like an old school tape, you know, like just telling us stuff in the back of our mind. So these things make up the story that we tell ourselves of who we are, and the things that happen to us, and the things that we can't let go of, and the emotions that we repressed. And this is amazing. So the journey that you take people on, essentially, Valley, is to relieve them of a lot of the baggage that they're carrying through life.
That's correct. Yes.
It's amazing.
And also, not just that, because many other therapists do that, but this healing work is designed in a way that you experience your true nature directly, like viscerally, by going through those emotional layers that you are not. So you are not your emotions, right? You are not your thoughts, and you are not your body. These all belong to you, but you are much more than that. So what are you? Who are you? Who are you? What is your...
Who am I? As for me, I am a soul. I am a lot of things. I am a collection of all my past lives. I am having an experience here in this. My favorite, one of my favorite YouTubers calls it a Muggle meat suit. I love that, and shout out to Missy. But that's what it is. It's like you're walking around in this body, having this experience, but you are so much more than that. You are the essence of life. You are God itself. And so that's who I am. I'm a goddess. That's my answer. I'm sticking with it. What about you, Kaola?
Well, what I was thinking with what you're saying, because now we subdivide each other into groups, and society label us. Well, you're Arab, you're Hindu, you're Muslim, you're Jewish, and people they are believing their labels, and they are believing that they are in this kind of groups, and they forget their true identity and their true self, who they really are. We just see from the telescope, but they don't really see their true identity, because at the end we are all one. We all have souls, and we are just borrowing this body to be in it. But at the end we will leave this body and we'll just be a soul. So it's very powerful what you're sharing with us, Valeria.
Yes, and so there's another expression for this, and I, learned this from my other mentor, Gangaji, who is an American spiritual teacher. And she says, we are pure awareness, pure consciousness. So that's what we are. So don't mix the weather with the sky. The weather is always changing. This body is always changing. It was born, It was very cute and whatever. And then, it became older and prone to diseases. And then at the end, it will be gone, right? Same with your emotions. It's good, it's bad, it's da, da, da. And same with your thoughts. So these are the weather, if I can use a metaphor for that. And you are not the weather, you are the sky, which is holding all of this. It never moves. It is never changing. It's an absolutely unchanging, pure consciousness, which is intelligent, which is totally lovable. So when we say to ourselves that, I'm not lovable, well, it is so sad to believe that. It is so sad, because you are lovable just because you were born, into this body, and the body is necessary. So I don't want to, underestimate the body. It's very necessary to enlightenment or to wake up, but we are much more than the body. So if you say I am not lovable or I am not enough, then you totally buy into that which you are not, which is your body, your emotions, your thoughts. Maybe those are not always lovable, but you are not that, not just that, right? So very important to have that visceral, direct experience of who I really am before I can truly forgive or do any deep work. So that's why it is a unique process, because first, in the first 1 hour or so during the several hour session, the 2-3 hour session, we will go through those layers, those emotional layers, which you are not, because you are not your anger, you are not your sadness, you are not your jealousy, you are not your grief, but you can experience them and embrace them, let them be, and then they don't stick to you. Then they just come and go like those clouds in the sky. If you don't grab them and hold it, and insist on it and sit on it for years, that I am so angry, I have so much resentment, I hate you so much. And you sit on it for years, years and years, and it make you sick. So don't identify with those. So when you experience them for a moment, because they will very quickly vanish if you don't make a story about them, don't make up a story about them, just let them be like an energy, come and go. And underneath it all, this is the freedom. This is who you are. Underneath it all, you really experience directly your true nature, which is this infinite wisdom, this godliness, as you said, Kriya, or this unnameable, because you really cannot name it. Whatever name you give it, it's again, it's a label, and it's kind of limits its essence. But we need to communicate about it sometimes, and so we can give this name to it, like you are pure consciousness. And you can then, after you realizing it, it's not the end there, because then from there on, you can stay true to it. And this can be your life mission, to stay true to what you really are. Not to what you think about yourself to be, but to that, what you discovered. Stay true to that and live from that energy. And that's basically the goal, I think, the goal of this healing work. And from there, from that consciousness, everything might happen. A magical healing, spontaneous healing, or I had clients who had different cancers, endometrial cancer, or cancer in the uterus, cancer in the brain, and cancer in different places. But when they were really able to get access to that cellular memory, and they could resolve that problem, that issue at the core, and they let it go, then they healed. It was there was amazing healing. There were amazing healings. I remember one woman specifically who had a cancer in her uterus, and the doctors say when you have a cancer in your uterus, you cannot give birth, Definitely not. You can be happy if you heal from it, but definitely no childbirth. And we were working together several sessions she had, and then after 3 years, she gave birth to her first child. And she wrote a letter to me, because after 3 years we were already not in a very close contact, but she wrote a letter to me, and she said that the doctors said it's miraculous because it shouldn't happen. So this is what might happen, when you really take responsibility for all of your issues, and don't take them personally, but just look at them. What's the root cause of it? Why did I behave like that? Why did I believe or buy into a certain story and then insist on it?
Wow. This is really, really, really deep. I'm still like the spontaneous healing. And when you realize that it comes from, you can trace that to forgiveness, and you can trace that to releasing emotions and actually feeling your emotions. That's just so amazing that you can like really at a cellular level change your body, heal yourself, and just, I mean, we could go down into the quantum physics rabbit hole with that one, but really it's just amazing work that you're doing, Valley.
Yes, it's quite deep, and that's why it takes a little bit longer than just a 1-hour coaching session, when because we are not communicating. It's a talk therapy, so I'm talking to them and they talk to me, but they are in, with closed eyes, and I guide them to a deeper level, and to a theta or a deep alpha state, when you are not so much following your mind's thoughts, and you are more connected with your consciousness inside, so more connected to your soul, and a true healing can happen. Not just physical healing, but relationships might heal, because a relationship issue is typically an egoic issue, when the two egos just insist on on their own agenda. So it, on that level, on the mind's level, you cannot really solve those issues. That's why so many divorces happen. Like in my case, I had a divorce back then. It was 30 years ago when I got married, and then 20 years ago we got divorced. So my marriage was over after 10 years. I was still sleepwalking back then. I would call myself a sleepwalker. I didn't know anything about anything. I was just a young woman. And and I moved out of the house when we divorced. Thank you, Carla. And then I was moving to a small flat with my little boy, who was 6 at that time. And I was very frustrated, always crying. I was blaming probably everybody other than myself. And I was running my own headhunting business, and I was working on my table, on my desk. And my little boy came to my desk and wanted to show me something or tell me something, but I was so anxious, and I really had to meet some deadline or something. And I just remember I'm almost yelling at him, like, please don't disturb me now. I have to finish this, and kind of sent him away in a way. And then he put down a small piece of paper on my desk, and then he left. He went back to his room. And this paper, I'm still keeping with me, because he just wrote to me, "Mommy, Daddy, I love you." And there's a little house here, if you can see, a little house where
with the heart.
with the heart in it. And he just wanted to tell me that, "I love you, don't be anxious. Yeah, don't be anxious, don't be angry, don't be frustrated. I'm here and I love you, and that's what matters." That was his teaching. But I just, you know, yelled at him. And when I noticed this little drawing, I was like, wow, deeply shamed, deeply self-hatred, feeling self-hatred. So I ran into his room and hugged him, and I apologized, of course, but it was then too late, I think, because it already has happened. His little soul has already been touched by that negative energy. So that's when I knew that I need to work myself seriously. So that's how I then went on by learning about this journey healing work. I went to London, and I found myself in a huge conference room in London, where 400 Earth Court, it's called the Earth Court conference room, and 400 people were working on each other in pairs, you know, doing this healing work in pairs. And Brandon Bays was guiding us through this weekend. It was a long weekend from morning to late evening, working on ourselves. And it was a cathartic impact on me. So I went back a few weeks later as a trainer, helping other people's processes. And I just got so hooked on, I would say, that I went on to be a practitioner, a certified practitioner, by, you know, doing a 1 year long practitioner program when we were in England, in different countryside retreat places, just from morning to evening, working on ourselves, hundreds and hundreds of hours on this deep level. So that's where I really experienced that all those lies and self-identifications were just not true. This is not who I am. I'm not my story. I am more than that. I'm enough. I'm lovable. But I experienced it on a visceral level. So that's when the chair I was sitting on while doing the process with someone else started shaking, you know, because my whole body was shaking, because all the fear and all the frustration pour over me. And I met very bravely, because we were encouraged to do that, met all of them. And what was left was this this pure, calm, still presence. So it was this was the journey that took me to the journey process.
It sounds really powerful. And I put up a question before, but you were in deep in explanation, so I didn't want to interrupt you. So let me bring it back up. It's from our fan, one of our number one fans, Tendai. I have missed you, honey.
Hi,
I know you're
Tendai.
busy working on Wednesdays and you're probably sneaking watching this, but I appreciate you anyway, babe. And so Tendai says, there's so much hate, fighting, and many other negative things in the world. Does this mean we as human beings are failing to connect with the pureness of our inner souls? That's a great question.
Well, failing, I don't know about failing. I would say that there is a call in each our lives. You know, if we are lucky, then there is a call for looking deep within. You know, my call was after my marriage gone down the toilet, and I was like feeling alone, frustrated, and just not happy, really not happy, and didn't know what to do or where to turn for help. So that was my lucky call, you know, like as if God have put their arms on my shoulder and said, hey, you know, it was a tapping from a divine tap from God himself, saying to me, you are not going the right direction. Let's try something else. And I think every one of us, each of us, if we are lucky, has that pit. You know, when we fall into that pit, when we hit rock bottom, probably that's a divine call that here we are, you know, here you are, you have a chance to pull yourself out of that pit, you know, and then, wow, you know, find your true purpose. Why are you here? What is your why to be here in this lifetime right now. And so this is how I see it. It's not a failing. I wouldn't put any negative connotation on it. It's just that there is a moment of awakening if we are lucky, and then we can listen to that. You know, not everybody listens. You know, because it might just slips away. You know, and you just go and do the same things all over again. But if we are lucky and if we are here to live our life purpose, then we might listen to that call, and then absolutely possible to experience who you really are, you know, for each
Wow,
of
that's
us.
beautiful. That's so beautiful. And just, I love that you said I wouldn't put any negative energy on it, like no negative connotation. And that's really beautiful. And something else that you were saying a lot, you repeated it multiple times. It was that you are lovable, you are enough. And I think that that's something that a lot of people really struggle with, like an inner, a core wound around feeling like they're worth it, they're valuable, they are enough, and they are lovable. So I
Yes.
really love that you talked about that a lot during our time together today, and that you shared that, because that's part of, I think, an inward journey, is finding what those core wounds are and those core issues are that you need to bring to the surface in order to heal and release, or maybe forgive other people so that you can feel peace. And then that's all part of it. It's beautiful. And the fact that you spent so many hours studying this and working with people on this, it is just it shows. I know I felt that energy when I went to your webinar, and I think we all feel it today listening to you talk as well. What do you think, Kaola?
It's very powerful when she shared the story about her child when he gave her the message, because we have so much to learn from children, and we tend to forget that a lot. And they can also change our lives. I'm not a parent,
Oh, they
but I
do.
just, yeah.
Yes.
1,000%. And there's
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot of those moments, like when the story about your son, I was a stay-home mom for so many years. And then with my second child, I'm a working mom, right? And there's just such a big difference there. And there are a lot of those moments where have experienced that, where I'm like, I'm so trying to meet this deadline, or I'm so busy trying to do this thing, and he's trying to get my attention, and I have to catch myself, because I've done the same thing. Like, I really got to finish this, babe. I don't, and then I feel like so horrible. Like, you feel like the worst person in the world. So I identify with that. And it's something that I'm very conscious of now, that I try never to do. I try to take a moment. I try to prioritize the kids. And if you've been watching Hot Topics for a while, then you've seen my kid come in here and how I'm just like, okay, you guys hold on. I don't care. Like, if I'm like whatever. And if it's not an emergency, I will say, okay, give me a few minutes, but I do always address it. It doesn't matter if I'm live. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, because those moments are really precious. And those moments can also give them core wounds that they then have to work on and resolve and forgive you for. So it's really a lot to think about. Matilda, I just want to say hi to you, honey. I saw your pictures from your wedding and they were so beautiful. I love the dress, and the flowers, and the cake was so beautiful. So, congratulations. If you guys remember, Matilda is sometimes guest co-hosts with me, and she's a dear friend of mine. We saw each other in Los Angeles a couple months back. There's some pictures of that out, and you can catch her episodes. She was also a featured guest multiple times on Hot Topics Live. She actually got trapped with her new boyfriend in the pandemic, and now they're married. So I love a happy ending. A lot of couples broke up during the pandemic, but they really, really
She's a
grew.
fighter. She doesn't give
Yeah,
up easily.
I love that. Of course, you're so loved. You're so loved. So,
and Matilda, if I can say to you something, because she says that she's looking for her why since a while and she doesn't find it.
Yes.
So Matilda, if you try, if you want, you can try this practice I learned it from Dean Graziosi. He was having a mentor with him, and they were working on his why, and you can go 7 layer deep with your why. So first you ask the very obvious question, why do I want this? What is my goal with it? And then you have an answer, but then you don't stop there. And, okay, that's my answer. And why do I want that? If that would happen, why do I want that? So what is my next layer? And you don't stop, Matilda, you don't stop. Don't give it up before you get to the 7th layer, because that will be your true purpose, why you want this, or why you want to go there, or why you want, whatever the question might be. I suppose it's a deeper question for you. That's why you addressed it. But don't stop until you get to the 7th layer, and it will be very emotional actually to find that answer. And if you just take the time and do that for yourself, you can even write it down, because it's even more powerful. And don't be surprised if you need some tissues at the end.
It's beautiful. And I like something that we can put in practice, that we can take action on and do, and like look within ourselves. And that's a pretty easy thing to do to help yourself. It's like,
yes,
awesome.
yes.
Thank you for sharing that. So
Sure.
Vali, we are 1 hour into the show,
Right.
and I want to say so much to you. Thank you so much for sharing everything you shared about what being a journey practitioner is, what the journey that we would experience would be, and how it can help us. But before we go, I have 2 more questions for you. And Kaola, if you have any, don't let me stop you. So my question for you is, now that we understand what going on this journey is, what it is you do to help facilitate us along this journey, how do we reach out to you and connect with you? And what will we experience when we have a session with you? What can we expect?
Oh, thank you, Matilda. Welcome. So yes, so you can reach my website, which is myname.com, valeriaurban.com. Or you can find me on Facebook. I also have a holistic wellness counseling Facebook page, so you can contact that page and message me. And I would actually like to offer something for your viewers, Kia, for the viewers of this podcast or this show. And that would be if one of your viewers would take one of my offerings, which they will find on my website, then I would like to give them 20% off the price that they will find there. All right. And the first contact is a half an hour free exploratory call, so that is free, and then we get to know each other. We see if we are a good fit to each other, and if yes, and you would want to go further, then this is where my offer comes in. So I would like to offer that 20% off the price, whichever offering is taken by your viewers. So you just refer to Kia's podcast, the Hot Topics Live podcast, and that will be it. If you accept that, Kia.
We can't hear you, Kia.
We can't hear you. Yeah,
I think she has.
Sorry, my kids were making noise again.
Yeah.
So I muted myself. Okay, so I'm excited about that. I love that. So 20% off is amazing. I love that they can just mention Hot Topics Live and they get a discovery call for 30 minutes for free. That's awesome. I would just do the discovery call to just talk to you for a while anyways, and then go from there. 20% off is amazing. And I think everybody should do it. That's what I think.
Yes. And just to answer your question, so what do you expect, when you come for a session with me, right? That was your question. So you would on this exploratory call, we would find out what is your issue, why are you here, where would you like to go from here, what was your experience so far. Maybe you had some other therapies which didn't work that well. So it's all about you. We will talk about you, and we will also identify, what is that you would like to work with in general. But then when you actually go into the session, it will be a 2 hour, 2.5 hour to begin with. That's the very first one. And then after that, you can still decide whether you want to go on a longer term plan. Then we will create a plan for you for a longer term, but I will be holding your hands on a monthly basis or something like that. And you would be online, you would having an online therapy with me, a session with me, where you would just need your phone or your laptop and a camera so that I can see your face, because this is how I can read your signals. That's important for me. You don't necessarily will watch me throughout the process, because your eyes will be closed and you will be in your cozy room or armchair, and you have to put away 2.5 hours for that. No disturbing, no telephones, no dog, no no neighbors, and you know what I mean. It's just you time. It's for you. And then I will guide you through this inner introspection. It's very powerful. You will get access to your body wisdom, to your higher self, and that will give you answers. It's not me. I'm not giving you any answers. That would be not my job. I don't know you. This is not my job. I am just guiding you through a process and maybe asking a few questions to help you go through that inner journey. And at the end, you will walk away with a deep sense of peace and stillness and great love, and knowing your true nature. And most probably will also release a cell memory, and you can release that and heal from it. So physical illnesses might heal, but it's not about that. Just it can be a relationship issue. It can be just you want to get to the next step of your spiritual journey. You want to find out what is your greater purpose, and these are all differently designed sessions. So I always customize my sessions to that unique, specific client. It's not just one for all.
I feel that. That's what I do too. When I do coaching, it's always exactly specifically customized for the person, because we're all different, unique, beautiful, sovereign beings, right?
Yes.
We have different needs. So I love that you do that. I'm a big fan of that approach, and I know that you help so many people. So I hope everybody runs to your website right there and mention Hot Topics Live, get your free discovery session, and talk to Valley, and then get 20% off and have this experience. And I know that it will be life changing. It's completely, I think with even one, you will have a huge transformation. And more than that,
yes,
like you'll have a complete paradigm shift in your, like, not
yes.
only will you change inside, your whole reality will change outside of you. I'm sure of that.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Because that's what happens when you change the inside and you do the healing work. So
Yes.
I hope everybody does it. Kaola, did you have any more questions for Valley?
Actually, she answered the question that I had. There is so much knowledge. It's like, but the ultimate, like the most important thing that I really learned from this show, that if you uncover your negative emotion and you uncover this kind of layers, you are going to find your true purpose and your higher self. And that's what it's all about, this session, and how Valeria described it. It's very, very beautiful, because we can just talk about technical stuff, but she's really dive deep and talked about also, her story and how she got like her journey as a practitioner, and it's very, very life changing to people tune in and listen to this.
Yes. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
agree. So, I wanted to talk to you about raw foods and culinary arts, but we are at 1 hour and 9 minutes. So I
Yes.
think that we're going to save that for another episode.
Next
So
time,
that,
yes.
which means I will hope that you will come back and be a guest again on Hot
I would
Topics
love to.
Live.
I would love to, yes.
And I'm pretty
Yes.
sure, Kaola, you would like to come back and be
Yes.
the guest host of that episode.
Yes.
I'm
I would love to
hoping.
learn more about culinary art. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
new thing, and it's really good to learn about
Yes,
it.
I'm happy to talk about it. It's a great, it's a favorite subject, obviously. I was on myself. I was on raw vegan foods for many years.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
100% raw. Today
Wow.
I'm eating a lot of raw even today, but not 100%,
Mm.
and vegan today as well. But there was a few years, about 5 or 7 years, when I did really did it 100%. Yeah, so I can speak
Wow.
from experience. Yes.
That is amazing. And I've had lots of people talk about health and wellness on Hot Topics. You can go to the Hot Topics Live Facebook page and find all the episodes. Some more recent episodes are on YouTube, and you can check that out in podcast form anywhere you listen to podcasts at Hot Topics the podcast. And so we've had someone talk about having a all carnivore diet, which I tried. I really tried that. And I thought, because I am a carnivore, I really like meat. But it didn't sit. He warned me that it wouldn't sit right with my stomach initially, and I couldn't make it through that phase. Admittedly, I may try again, but perhaps maybe I should try raw foods. I don't know. So I am looking forward to that episode. We'll get it on the books for as soon as we can, and then I'll have you back and find all about raw foods and why it's good for me and why we should give it a go, and veganism. So I do like plant-based a lot. I incorporate that in my diet, but I still eat meat because
Me too.
I am a carnivore. I'm just a carnivore. I just love it. But I do like a lot of plant-based stuff because my son is allergic to dairy. So we eliminate dairy and we substitute that with a lot of plant-based things. So it's interesting to learn everything that you can. So I can't wait for you to come back again, Valley.
Yes. I'm very happy to come back and speak about it, and just to make you feel good about eating like a carnivore, eating meat. There is not one diet that would be good for everyone. So always has to be customized for that individual. So yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. So for now, I will put you in the green room. If you have time to wait, we'll say a proper goodbye once we wrap the show. If not, I understand, and I'll catch up with you because I always do another time. So I will see you soon.
I will say goodbye because it's almost 11 p.m. So I would rather say goodbye.
Okay, we'll say goodbye. Thank you for coming, and
have bye, Kaola.
Bye.
Bye. Oh
wow.
That was a great episode, right? So I really loved that, and it was so informative and just really, really amazing. And so Matilda, I'm going to answer your question. Okay, so Valley does have Instagram, but she's not very active on it. So what you want to do is go to her Facebook page. And I can send it to you privately, but I think I have put it here also. Here it is. There. So you can find her at Effortless Forgiveness on Facebook. That's the link. I'm pretty sure if you type in a search, you will be able to find it. And that's how you'll be able to connect with her, Matilda. And if you need more information, hit me up, girl, and I will hook you up. That's how I roll. So, Kaola, I want to say thank you so much for being a guest co-host on Hot Topics Live today. It was really fun to have you as a guest. I hope that everyone will go in and follow you at Women with Stories on Instagram. So you have an Instagram, so they can check you out there, and they can listen to your show anywhere you listen to podcasts and with women with stories. It's a great show. Do you want to talk a little bit about it before we wrap up?
Yes, so it's a podcast. I started it now. It's been 2 years. Kia helped me with it. So it's about sharing the journey of powerful women all over the world, especially expats. And you can also listen to how they rose above different challenges. So tune in and let me know what you think about it.
And you also have another show, as we mentioned at the
Yes.
beginning, Podcasters
Yes, this
Unleashed.
is another one. It's Podcasters Unleashed, a collaboration of 6 podcasters. We have Matilda, we have Carla, we have a lot of podcasters in it, and we share really controversial topics, heated topics, and we don't have limits. So if you want to know a lot about this, check Podcasters Unleashed Facebook page.
It's a great show. I actually tuned into an episode on Monday for once I had time, and I thought, let me pop on and see what my all my loves are doing on what they're talking about on Podcasters Unleashed. And I noticed that was about a topic about transgender. So that was
Yes,
interesting to listen to. I definitely have some strong opinions about it. I'm a huge supporter of the LGBTQ
yeah.
and so on and more. Community keeps growing. So I don't know if I'm up to date with the terms, but
And
I
guess
support
what?
it.
For
Yes.
next topic, we are
What
going
is
to
your
talk
next
about the
topic?
vaccine. So it's another
Wow,
heated topic.
another hot topic. You guys are gonna be talking about the vaccine. Everybody's got an opinion. And so that should be an interesting one. So I like to see the comments that pop up on that one. That should be a good one.
Yes.
So I want to say to everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've been watching this long and you've watched the entire episode, then that means you're part of our tribe, our soul family, if you will. And so, what you should do is just set your notifications, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook, right? Because we multi stream around here. And so, set your notifications and then you should like and share. If you're on Facebook, you should follow this page. By setting your notifications, you'll know when I come live because it varies. Different times we came live late today with some tech difficulties, right? So we sorted that out and we came live today. And so if you have your notifications set, then you'll know when we're live. Oh, I'm sending you so much love, George. You're so sweet. I appreciate you
Hi,
so much. You know
George.
that. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And so, as always, if you want to catch up with me, you can follow me on Instagram at Creativity, at Hot Topics the podcast, at the Female Veterans Podcast. If you or someone you know is a female veteran, you might want to check that one out. It's juicy, but it does come with a trigger warning. There are some really intense topics sometimes. So be prepared for that. And I'm actually doing a giveaway on the Female Veterans Podcast. It's the first one. So you have to listen to Tia's episode. And what you win, well, if you or someone you know is suffering from hair loss due to some type of illness, this is the episode for you and the giveaway is for you. So listen to that and find out how you can hook up your loved one. And that's on the Female Veterans Podcast. And so Hot Topics comes live on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on where our guest is located in the world. Wednesdays for our European guests and on Thursdays for our US guests. And so you can catch Hot Topics live or you can watch the replay anytime on Facebook or YouTube. And I want to thank you for watching. I will be back next week with another incredible guest. And Kaola, is there anything else you want to say before we close the show?
I just want to thank everybody who commented and stayed until this hour for this show, and I appreciate all of your comments. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. We love you guys so much. Tendai, you are so loved. Come and see me next week. I'll be live again next week on Wednesday, and we're going to have another great show for you. I think this one might be a little bit more for the ladies, and Kaula, you might want to tune in for this one. But if you're a gentleman watching, and I have a really great coach coming, a male coach. So I'll keep an eye out for that one. And you might want to watch next week to help out your female friends and loved ones, but this one's going to be for the ladies next week. So tune in for that. And we love you guys, and we will see you next time. And if you liked Kaola, send me a message and let me know so I can make sure to bring her back as my guest co-host.
Rate me 5 stars, guys.
You know how it is. Send me a DM on here or on Instagram. And one more thing, please stop sending me friend requests on Facebook. Go follow my Instagram and message me there at Creativity. Okay? Thank you. That was my PSA. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.